Every year, after testing a ton of chairs, I pick out the best ones and compile an ultimate buying guide for you. That means this is not a video about these are Danon's favorite chairs at this price point video, because many of you all are not like me. Many of you wear small, many of you wear large. Me personally, I wear extra buff. In all seriousness, many of you are built differently than me. You may not have these tiny little baby shoulders that I have. You might be a different weight, a different height. We may even have different seating preferences. And so I'm gonna categorize this video into two big categories: for shorter folks and then for taller folks. And then within that is going to be a budget tier, a mid tier, and then I'm a rich biatch tier as well. I'm rich, biatch! And I have full-length videos on every single one of these chairs. So instead of giving full-length reviews, I'm gonna give very short notes on why this particular chair made it into this ultimate buying guide list, and any specific notes you should be aware about regarding height and weight for that particular chair. I'll also give my top chair picks for active seating chairs, such as the Capisco chair and this stool that I'm sitting on. If you find this video helpful, if I've helped you find your chair, please consider using my links down below, as it really makes this possible, and I really appreciate your support. The latest codes, promotions will also be down there as well. So if you're watching this 1, 2, 5 years later, all of that will be down in the description below. Let's get honest. For shorter folks on a budget, we're gonna start under $100 with the Amazon Basics chair. Now, the way this got on the list was I tested 4 of the top selling Amazon chairs, and this one beat out all the other chairs by far for a few reasons. One is because it had a relatively high back. Compared to these, it's not that tall, but relative to those other ones, it had a pretty high back. It's got soft edges all around, so it makes it great for spreading out and your arms aren't gonna bang into anything. You can even kind of go ergonomic rebel in this chair, rolling your legs up. It assumes you have smaller thighs. But the biggest reason why this chair won was because of the cushion in here. The other cushions in those chairs were so thin that me being 170 pounds, I felt the bottom immediately sitting in those chairs. So this by far and away takes the cake. Now, I'm gonna say that if you're someone on the bigger end or you have bigger thighs, you may want to avoid this chair for 2 reasons. One is because the cushion is probably going to bottom and flatten on you pretty quickly. I can already tell here. And then the second reason is because there's just not that much space inside of this chair. So watch, I don't have that big of thighs, but then if I just put my arms in here, then I've got absolutely no space to move around. Next up on the list, and the chair is not here, it's actually at home right now, is the Stables Hyken. And I kind of debated about whether or not I wanted to include the Hyken on this list, because I have a friend who's 160, 165 pounds, and after 2-3 years, I forget how long, he said that the mesh has now stretched out to the point where he needed to replace the chair. And for a $180 to $200 chair, that's not a ton of lifespan out of that chair. Now, the reason why it's still on this list is because if you are under like 150 pounds, I'm gonna strongly recommend you be under 150 pounds, then that chair has a ton of adjustability and customization that just doesn't exist on other chairs that are sub $200. So for that reason, the Hyken still stays on this list, but buyer beware. Next up on the list is the Sihu M90D. This is a $360 chair, $350 chair. I forget which, but it's got a mesh back, and so it's breathable on your back. But the reason why I love this chair so much is because of this cushion. It's super duper thick. It's nice and bouncy. It doesn't feel like it's gonna flatten on you anytime soon. It's got a decent amount of adjustability, like the back can ratchet up, if I remember correctly right now. Yeah. So the back can ratchet up, the seat can come out, and the seat can also lock back in position. So if you want a cushion chair at that $350 price point, and you are a heavier person, you're someone who wants fabric or foam instead of mesh, this is a great chair at that price point. The next chair on my list is the Newhouse Ergo 3D. Now again, this is a mesh chair, and the mesh is kind of loose. So strongly recommend you do not buy this chair if you're about over 150 pounds. But why is this chair on my list? Well, for a couple reasons. One is because I think the lumbar support on this is fan-freaking-tastic. It's super breathable as well. And the reason why I like this chair so much is because this chair just makes sense. So again, if you can get around the fact that the mesh is a little bit looser and you are lighter, then the fact that you get really good armrests, the lumbar feels really good, and this headrest is pretty darn good as well. So if you're someone who wants a headrest, wants a decent headrest, then this one actually works. It adjusts pretty easily as well. And so for that reason, this one makes it onto the list. This one is, I think, $10 cheaper than that and provides as a good alternative if you want mesh and you're lighter and you're not looking for a fabric chair. The last chair for the budget picks is the Ahnestly Kaiser 3. I really, really like this chair. Like, I reviewed this and a lot of people were like, oh, you're a shill, you're selling out, gaming, racing style gaming chairs suck. I don't know what to tell you, man. I really, really like this chair. There's a few reasons why I love it so much. One is because most gaming style chairs have like heavy metal crap in here. So if you try to like pull your leg out, you're stuck in the chair. This one is flat and the cushion is super duper plush. So it just feels really good everywhere. The back doesn't roll you in. Like I'm a smaller guy. It doesn't roll me in. I've had taller guys sit in this. They told me, hey, they're able to spread out easily as well. The headrest is decent. It's not the best, but it's magnetic. So it's got nice features. The arms are super adjustable as well. Now, if you are 5'10" or under, I recommend you get the large size. I'm gonna recommend the extra large for the taller folks. But this chair, I don't know. Guys, I just really, really like it so much. The weakest part is probably the lumbar. It feels like kind of a thin strip of padding. It's not the greatest feeling on your back. It's not as good as the Secretlab Titan Evo 2022, but I'm telling you, I really like this chair and I would use this as an office chair. And of course, the best feature about racing style gaming chairs is the fact that you can lean down and you can even go further down if you want. But the fact that I can go like this means that I can go from lounging and chilling, watching a movie to business mode instantly. Unless you plan on sitting cross-legged inside the chair, the Kaiser 3 is best for people 5'6" and above. For shorter folks on a mid-tier budget, we start with the classic used Herman Miller Aeron. Now this is one of my favorite chairs of all time because it's the first chair that I found that solved my back issues. I still really love this chair. It's probably one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the entire world. This thing is iconic, and I made a really detailed video on how to buy one of these things used so you can pick it up in that $450 to $600 price range. So I'm not gonna go over all that here, but it is an excellent chair. It's a renowned chair. And if you want a headrest for it, you can get a add-on headrest from a company called Atlas Headrest. They make by far the best ones for the Herman Miller Aeron. It's not gonna look like this anymore. It'll look like this, but you'll probably get the gray color if you have a gray frame like me. But otherwise, most of the chairs are this graphite color and you'll get a headrest like this. Or if you want a headrest that matches 1-for-1 with the mesh that's used on the Aerons, they also sell that version as well. So it looks like it was like Herman Miller built it, but they didn't. It's a company called Atlas Headrest. So you can get that one as well. Now, if you want to get one, let's say, cleaned and you don't want to deal with all the cleaning up and, people have been sitting on it, you can get one from Crandall Office for, I think, like $700. The benefits is that they have a 12-step process for remanufacturing their chairs, and you get a 12-year warranty on their chairs, which is absolutely nuts. If you're international in the UK or Europe, you can also check out Aeron International and see if they have one there for cheaper, because it's a little harder to find a used one there. In this height range, you either want to get a size A or B, and you can refer to Herman Miller sizing guide for which one would be best for you. Now, coming to this next one. This is the Steelcase Amia. The one I'm recommending is the remanufactured Steelcase Amia from, again, Crandall Office. The reason why I recommend that is because the Steelcase Amia was by far the least offensive chair I've ever sat in. Like, everything about it is just so good, so unoffensive, so like it's got universal appeal. It's a sleeper though. Look, it doesn't look like a great, crazy, flashy chair. It just looks like a typical office chair. But man, when you sit in it, and the comments are all like this. They're like, dude, I have this chair, it looks so whatever in my office, and I sat on it, and it's amazing. Like, that's what this chair is. It's so good, but brand new, it costs $1,000. And the only complaint I've heard about it is that the seat cushion can be a little thin. If you're on the heavier end, the reason why I recommend the remanufactured is for three reasons. One is because you get a 12-year warranty. So if you go out and buy one of these things used, you might not get a warranty. But with David Crandall Office, you'll get a 12-year warranty. Second reason is because they sell a version with a thicker seat pad with a ½ inch extra cushion. So if you're worried that you might bottom out if you're on the heavier end, you can do that. And the third reason is because with the thicker seat cushion, this thing, the remanufactured Amia, comes in at less than half the price of a brand new one at about $479, $480, which is crazy. 12-year warranty, thicker cushion, it's all been sanitized, cleaned, things have been replaced, the fabric is brand new, like, it's a no-brainer to me. Moving on, the Secretlab Titan Evo 2022. This is gonna be a bit of a controversial pick. I know that right now it's priced sitting at like 70-30. 70% of the people that have tested these chairs are kind of like, it's not for me. I really wanted to like it, not great. 30% of the population are like, dude, it's the best chair. I can sit on it for 12 hours on end. And I wanna let you guys know that because for me personally, I like firm chairs. I feel more supported in them, and this has a very firm seat cushion. I would just wanna make that very clear. It's got a very firm seat cushion. I think the lumbar is the best on any gaming, racing style gaming chair because it feels like a nice bump that kind of fits nicely into my back curve. But I do want to let you guys know that when it comes to this chair, it can be kind of divisive. Again, some people love it, some people hate it. I happen to be on the I like it side, but I understand what people are coming from when they say that the seat cushion is too firm. That's the reason why I like the Kaiser 3 so much, because it's like this. It feels like the Amia in that it's just really inoffensive. I think everybody who sits on it is gonna be like, oh, this actually feels pretty good. The Titan Evo 2022 has a firmer cushion, so if you like that, then this is gonna be for you. This is probably the most premium gaming, racing style gaming chair out there on the market. The stitching is great. There's just a lot to like about this chair, but, and sizing guide. So if you are above 5'6", or if you're below 5'6" and you're not gonna sit curled up into the chair, you should not buy this at all. But if you're 5'6" and to about 5'10", you should probably buy the small. And then if you are on the heavier end at 5'8" up to about 5'11", I'm gonna recommend that you get the medium size. And then if you're above 5'11", then you should probably opt for the extra large. Or if you're heavier and the 5'10" range, then you should probably opt for the extra large size. So moving on now, Leap V2. But this here, the one that you see here, this is again a remanufactured Leap V2 from Crandall Office. And I think this is the best Leap you can buy. As a matter of fact, I would say don't buy it new, buy this one instead. Look, when I first bought the Leap, and I had a Leap, I had a blue one, I thought it was okay, right? I thought the biggest downside for me was that the seat cushion was too thin. But Crandall Office obviously went crazy and put this giant, thick seat pad on this thing. There's also an option, this one does have it, to have a thicker back cushion as well. And I think that resolves a lot of issues that people had on this chair, particularly that the seat cushion was too thin for them. And then the back, like for some reason, the back kind of felt weird to them as well. I really like what Crandall Office did to this chair. And again, you get an amazing 12-year warranty. You get an incredible, you get that 12-step remanufacturing process. This is arguably, again, one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the world next to the Aeron, right? These two probably go head to head for the most popular chair in the world. And there's a reason why. There's a lot of customization. For example, in the hip area, let me get up and do this. In the hip area, you can adjust how much tension you want it, and it really kind of hugs that lower back, right? You've got a lot of support in that upper back, a lot of good lumbar support in this chair, a ton of adjustability. The tilt back feels really good. It kind of slides your hip forward. Not everybody likes that. I really like it. So this chair, I think, is just a time-tested, time-proven chair, the Leap V2, and that's why it makes this list. And at half the price of a brand new one with a full 12-year warranty and a thicker seat pad, the Crandall Office remanufactured one takes the cake. This is about $600. All right, moving over to this. This is the Dual Rest Alpha, and I think this is a really, really cool chair. Now, all the R&D in this chair went into 2 things. It went into this mesh, and it went into this back thing. Like the rest of the chair, it doesn't feel that premium. Like the arms aren't super premium. They're not that hard, right? They're not gonna remind you of some kind of super crazy expensive chair, but this backrest and this mesh seat are fantastic. First of all, the mesh is really, really taut. I'm not worried that it's going to bottom out or sag over time because it's just really well done. It's also not that rough compared to more budget mesh chairs. Like you can tell that this is their own style of mesh. And then this backrest is just so unique. Like this feels like it's just hugging your back muscles. And if you're somebody who moves around, like the back moves along with you as well. It's just such a unique chair. This can come higher. You have to loosen it in the back. I'm not gonna do that now. But yeah, just for the backrest alone, this thing is worth it. This comes in at about $650 brand new. This is the Dual Rest Alpha. Don't get the other ones. The Alpha is by far the best. This mesh feels really good. This chair is pretty fantastic. Next up is the Herman Miller Sayl. This seat cushion is just so good. Like when you put your fingers into it, first of all, you can see that kind of like, you know that it's nice sponge when it comes up and it isolates your fingers so well. Like when you push into it, cheaper foam, it's not gonna have that like pressure point area, but you can tell this just feels so good. It's nice and dense, but it's got a good springiness to it. I love it because the bend here, this thing, it just gives you so much lower back support. It feels really great. The holes on here make this a really breathable chair as well. And of course, it comes with Herman Miller's great 12-year warranty. I've tested it. I've got multiple Herman Miller chairs. I've had to service them a few times, and they've been nothing but wonderful. So it's got a proven 12-year warranty, just a solid overall chair. One of the best features I like about the Sayl though is the forward tilt on the chair. So if you, it's been a while since I did this. If you come forward in this chair, if you do this, so if you lean back and then there's a tab right here, and then when you're leaning back, you tilt it forward, what happens is, look at where I end up. The chair tilts forward, the entire chair. And because the entire chair tilts forward, your legs are planted straight into the ground and it forces your back up. And it forces you into proper posture, relieving pressure off of that lower back. And this is also great for people who like to do things close to their desk, such as you're doing crafts or you're doing something, soldering or something. But I've also heard that it's got geriatric benefits. So if you're older and you need help out of your chair, you can activate that, and it's easier because your legs are planted, your feet are really planted to get up out of that chair as well. So it's one of my favorite features about the Herman Miller chairs, particularly the Sayl. Last chair on this list is the brand new Steelcase Amia from Steelcase. I already talked about this, so I'm not gonna do too much about it, but if you're looking for direct warranty from Steelcase, then this is gonna be the one for you. You don't want anyone else's booty juices, you don't want anyone else's sweat, you just want a brand new chair. The Amia feels great, and again, me being 170 pounds, I've never felt any issues with the cushion's density. I thought it was perfectly fine. Just keep in mind that if you're in the UK, Steelcase has changed their warranty policy, and now you only get 5 years versus 12 years everywhere else. The I'm Rich Biotch, for shorter folks, begins with the Steelcase Leap V2. The brand new one. That's not a brand new one. That's a remanufactured one, but I'm just putting it here for reference. The Steelcase Leap V2 is arguably one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the world, the other one being the Herman Miller Aeron. So it's a time and tested, proven chair, and you can get it brand new from Steelcase for about $1,200, or you can get one that's a factory authorized return from Crandall office. That's gonna run you about like $1,100, maybe a little bit less. And factory authorized return just means that, hey, somebody got a Leap, didn't like it, returned it within the 14-day window. They gave it to Crandall office, and Crandall office is selling it for them. It's got more options than the Steelcase Amia, right? Hence the higher price tag. It's the lower back grip and overall just kind of like grabbing this onto you just feels better than the Amia as well, but not everybody loves that. The Amia has a much more open seat. I don't mean the upper back, but in the lower back's got a much more open feel. This one has a much more huggy feel. Not everybody loves it. Keep in mind that, again, if you get it with Steelcase, 12-year warranty, excellent warranty. But if you're in the UK, 5-year warranty only. Not sure why Steelcase opted to do that. If you get a factory authorized return from Crandall office, 12-year warranty. Okay, I'm sitting in the next one. The next one is a Steelcase Gesture. This one is gonna run you, what was it? Maybe like 14 to 16, 13 to 15, I forget. Somewhere, just more expensive than this. The Gesture is the highest end chair from Steelcase, and you immediately know it, right? The arms on this chair are the best arms of any chair, period. Like, look, I can move them literally anywhere I want. The clicking feel feels really premium, and then up and back, and obviously you can swivel in. Just a premium feeling chair. Other mechanisms that feel great is that the seat cushion feels really good on this chair. But this is also one of the more complained about features about the Gesture, is that the seat pad, like all Steelcase chairs, the Gesture can have a thinner seat cushion. So if you're on the heavier end, maybe something that you want to avoid. But they claim that their chairs can, I believe, support up to 350, 400 pounds. I forget, but I do think that if you start getting on that upper echelon, you might want to avoid the Steelcase chairs because you can feel like they're bottoming out a little bit. Some more premium features about this chair is everything is using a dial. So when I spin this dial, the chair moves in. What's really fantastic about it is that when I put full weight in the chair, the seat pan can actually still move. So that's kind of crazy. Like, that's how strong this mechanism is. But yeah, overall, you feel that this is their most premium chair. If you're someone who likes headrests, the Steelcase Gesture, actually, Steelcase does make a headrest for the Gesture. You need to buy it with the headrest implemented. I don't believe you can install it aftermarket yourself. I don't even know if you can buy a headrest for this aftermarket. So you have to buy one with it. And I will say that the Steelcase Gesture's headrest is really good, right? It's pretty darn good. And so if you're a person who likes headrest, get the headrest version. That one's gonna be obviously on the higher end at like $1,500–$1,600. Crandall Office also sells a factory authorized return and remanufactured version of this chair at a cheaper cost if you opt to do that instead. Next up is the Hayworth Fern. This is my number 2 overall favorite chair pick for a few reasons. This back goes super duper tall, so it's good for those who have big torsos. You got an optional lumbar support here, which is like a rubber bubble. It flexes and moves with you. The back also kind of flexes and moves with you, not nearly as much as the Embody, but you still get a little bit of moving and moving and grooving in the chair. The seat pad feels really good. It's nice and thick, nice and dense. You get a lot of adjustability inside of the chair, and there's an optional upgrade. You can get a forward tilt, but it doesn't do it as well as Herman Miller. So let me move this out of the way. So as you can see here, if I go ahead and do this, let me show that again. If I pull this lever, I forward tilt in the chair, but you notice that only the seat tilts down rather than the whole chair tilting like on the Herman Miller chairs. It doesn't feel as good, but if you're somebody who has lower back issues and you want a chair sometimes to feel comfortable, but then sometimes you want to relieve pressure off of that lower back, this can still be a good option for you. So the Hayworth Fern, just a really solid chair. I think for the price point can be a really good chair. Avoid the headrest on this chair. I don't think it feels very good. Once you get it, you can't remove it. So yeah, don't get the headrest version. The best feeling configuration, or the ideal configuration I would recommend, is called the digital knit back. So it's like got these little balls. They feel really good. The material is still really breathable. Like this fabric is really breathable. You can probably see the sunlight through this hole right here. Oh, let me get out of the way. Hopefully you guys can see that. You can probably see the sunlight. That's how breathable the fabric is on this chair. But the digital knit one, even though it's got these bumps, like these knits in the chair, you can still see it. It's still really breathable. Non-headrest version. I would recommend, if you like more lumbar, to get the lumbar pad, but don't get the forward tilt because I think that is not as well implemented on this chair. Hayworth has an excellent 12-year warranty, and for the price, I think it is a fantastic chair. Something worth checking out if it wasn't on your list before. Also, design looks pretty cool too. Like I think it looks like a beautiful chair. Next up is the remastered Herman Miller Aeron. And in this height range, size A or B, you can refer to Herman Miller sizing guide for which size you should get. The Herman Miller Aeron, again, is one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the world, next to, you can't even see it anymore, next to the Steelcase Leap V2. The remastered Aeron is different from the classic used one in that the seat kind of goes down a little bit faster, like this edge here goes down faster, relieving pressure off of that lower back. And if you get the highest end lumbar, I do think that this feels better than the highest end lumbar on the classic used ones as well. The downsides about this is that the mechanisms on this chair are a little bit cheaper. It feels a little bit cheaper. It's got a mixture of plastic and metal, whereas on the classic ones, everything was like metal. So that chair, and I've talked to the guys that repair these chairs, they were like, the classic ones, unbreakable, man. They were just like, yeah, they're tanks. These, on the other hand, are using some plastic inside, and they said, hey, we do see some breaks in the mechanisms. As a matter of fact, I've had to get this thing replaced 2 times, or not replaced, I've had to get this thing serviced 2 times to figure out what was going on with the forward tilt. Part of the reason why I love this chair so much is because, again, the Aeron was the first chair ever for me that resolved my lower back pain. That was before I started doing all this. This was many years ago. And because I love that chair so much, I started buying and reselling them as a side hustle. And yeah, I know a ton about that chair. The remastered one is, I really like this one. It does get more expensive. This one, I believe, is $1,700. You can get an optional headrest for this. This is not made by Herman Miller, by a company called Atlas Headrest. You can use my code for $5 off. It's got great adjustability. You can go ahead and tighten that. You can push it forward and back in any position. So if you want a headrest for this chair, the best headrest for this chair, it's from a company called Atlas Headrest. You can use my code. And then moving over to my number 1 overall chair pick of all time, the Herman Miller Embody. And on here is a prototype headrest from Atlas Headrest, the same guys that make this thing here. The reason why this is my number 1 overall chair pick is because this is by far the most unique chair I've ever used, I've ever seen, I've ever tested, I've ever whatever. It's so good that I have 2 of them, and my wife and I keep one at home. My wife and I fight over it all the time. All right. The reason why is because unlike other chairs that use foam or use some kind of mesh, this chair uses their pixel system, which is this plastic, but it feels like rubber, and it just really just bends and moves with you. And the seat is made out of it, the back is made out of it, and then there's a layer of foam and then fabric on top. And I don't know, when I sit in it, no matter what position I'm in, I could be scooched down all the way. This is probably a little. I could be scooched down like this, and still I get full support on my butt. I can move it, I can shake it, I can bend, I can stretch inside the chair. It just feels so, so good. And the people who are like, again, 6'3", oh wait, that's not this price category. Sorry guys. You don't get to listen to that because you're short like me. All right, the seat extension, if you want longer seat extension, if you have longer legs, you can pull this up and pull it out. It's like a reverse tongue versus a lot of seats where the seat pad slides out, then there becomes a gap at your lower back area. Unlike that, this is just really well implemented. The biggest controversy about this chair are twofold. One is that the lumbar support on this is not adjustable, and it kind of feels like a tiny little, you know, like when you buy new shoes, you get that like little shoe-shaped thing that comes out of the front. It feels like that, much flatter, obviously, but it kind of feels like that with a flat front, and not everybody loves the way that that feels on the lower back. And then the other is gonna be the noise. Like that plastic pixel, whatever, it just squeeches a little bit. I don't know what the right noise is here, just kind of like that kind of noise. And people who are really sensitive to noise, that can be a turnoff as well. But the way this chair feels, it's just, I don't know. For me, it's just top tier. And then what makes it even better is this headrest. Now, this is a prototype. I did a full deep dive of this prototype, of this headrest from Atlas Headrest. You guys can check that out. But basically, people who are above 5'3" can benefit from this headrest. If you're shorter than that, you might not need one, but you can go ahead and check out that video. Again, being a Herman Miller chair, it comes with their excellent 12-year warranty as well. If you're taller and on a budget, the first chair that I recommend is not here right now. I actually gave it away to my taller friend. It's called the Zooair Ergonomic Office Chair. It used to be called the M-Favor Ergonomic Office Chair. It was one of the first chairs that I reviewed. I really liked it because the mesh was super taut actually, and the chair was really high up, and it had a headrest and accommodated taller folks. I was obviously too short for the chair, but it felt really good. So good, in fact, that when I did a blind review on my other channel, The Blind Guys, one of the guys actually picked it as his runner-up chair, and there were chairs in the $2,000 range in that video as well. So that's how much I like the chair, and I think you'll like it as well. The next one, if you're on the heavier end with any cheap budget mesh chair, it's gonna sag over time. So if you're someone who's like over 180, 170, 180 pounds, I highly recommend you avoid that chair. It has tighter mesh than on other budget chairs like that are for shorter folks like the Hyken, but still, budget mesh will sag over time and it'll happen quicker if you're heavier. Next recommendation on this list is the Sihu M90D. The reason why this chair made it onto the list is because it has great adjustability, especially for height. You see the back here, I can go ahead and, let me see if I can do this. I can go ahead and ratchet it up a few times. The headrest is terrible. You should just get rid of this. But if you just need something to lean on your back, you can kind of keep this on, but it's not great. But the number one reason is because this cushion here feels fan-friggin-tastic. Like it is super dense, but still manages to have like a medium softness to it. So it's not bad for that. It's also pretty wide as well, so accommodates for bigger folks. And the arms aren't that adjustable. I think they can go swivel in and out. They can go forward and back, and that's pretty much it. But for $350, I think this is gonna accommodate taller people really well. Now, the last chair on this list, it's this chair here, the Ahnest Kaiser 3, but this is the large size. If you're above 5'10", and especially if you're on the bigger side, I'm gonna recommend you get the extra large size. Now, the reason why I love this chair so much, and when I reviewed this, people were like, you're a shill, your racing style gaming chairs suck. I'm like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Like, my body likes what it likes, and I hate a lot of racing style gaming chairs, but I loved this one. And I think there are good reasons why. There are a couple reasons. One is because a lot of racing style gaming chairs have metal bolsters here. So if you try to open your legs up, you're caught. If you try to lift it up, a metal thing is digging into your leg. That's not the case here. There's no hard edges on this chair. And the plush on this feels so good. It's nice and thick, so you know it's not gonna bottom out on you in 1 to 2 years like those really cheap racing style gaming chairs. And when I sit back in the chair, I feel like I'm able to spread my shoulders out. I don't feel like I'm being cupped by the chair. You got a nice magnetic headrest back here as well. And the weakest part about this chair is probably the lumbar support. It doesn't feel as good as, for example, on the Secretlab Titan Evo 2022. It's like a thin strip kind of rubber thing back there, but it's really not that bad. And of course, with any racing style gaming chair, the best feature is the ability to go from relax, chill, take a nap mode, or you can go into straight up right away business mode. Yes, boss, I'm awake and I'm working. Chairs for taller folks on a mid-tier budget is almost exactly the same as those for shorter folks because some of these have an upper limit, and we'll talk about that as we go. So starting with the used Herman Miller Aeron size B or C depending on your height. You can refer to Herman Miller sizing guide for which size you should buy, but again, this is arguably one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the world. This is a classic used one, and it starts at about $450. You could probably get a better deal on it to about $600 if you get a headrest. I did a deep dive into how to buy one of these things used, and you can hopefully trust me because I actually bought and resold these as a side hustle because I like this chair so much. It was the first chair that ever resolved my lower back issues of any chair I've ever tested. It was also the highest end chair I've ever used as well at that time. So really, really like this chair, really passionate about it. I'm not gonna go into super detail about it. Again, size B or C for taller folks. If you want a headrest, you can get one from Atlas Headrest. This one, they don't sell this cushion anymore. They sell a much beefier one now. This one feels a lot better in my humble opinion. And of course, you can get the gray one if you have a gray frame like I do. But what's really cool is they also sell one that has the exact color and mesh matching headrest as well. So you can get that version for the classic Aerons. And if you're somebody who's like, oh, I don't want to go and find a used one on the used market and deal with people and potentially get a nasty, smelly, sweaty, booty juice chair, then you can go to Crandall office. They sell a remanufactured one for about $700. And what's really cool is that sanitize, replace parts, and you get a whopping 12-year warranty on that chair. A little more expensive, but you get those guarantees. Or if you're international, you can go ahead and check out Aeron International if you're in the UK or Europe because they sell used chairs there, and I know it's a little harder in those markets to find a used Aeron out there. Moving on, the Steelcase Amia, but this one is a Steelcase Amia, but the one I'm recommending is the remanufactured Steelcase Amia from Crandall office. Now, this chair probably has an upper echelon. I'm gonna say it's probably, if you're 6'3" or taller, you might wanna look for something with a headrest. Again, time and time again, the comments are like, look, I'm 6'4" and I really would appreciate a headrest. So yeah, this is probably gonna top out at 6'3". If you're a taller person and you've sat in chairs and you're like, I don't need a headrest, this is a fantastic chair, okay? Let me talk about the Amia first and then the remanufactured Amia. The Amia, to me, is a sleeper chair, right? Like this chair is so unassuming. Like you're just like, I don't understand. Why is this chair so expensive and why is it on this list? But then you sit on it and you're like, wow, that's good. All the comments on this video that I made, they're all like that. They're like, they have these in my office. I thought it was whatever. I sat on it. Holy crap, it's comfortable. I want one for my house now. Like that's the story over and over again with the Amia. This thing is just, it's so good, guys. It's good for a few reasons. One is because the back support you get on it is really good. It's wide and open enough that you're able to kind of like flesh out, but it still really grips you nicely. The seat cushion I think is solid. The one complaint, and then the adjustability on this chair is phenomenal. The seat pad comes in and out. The arms are really great on this chair as well. The biggest complaint that's on this chair though is the seat cushioning not being thick enough. Now I'm 170 pounds. I find it to be fine. Now this is probably gonna be for folks that are heavier, and if you're taller, generally you might be heavier. There's just more of you, right? And so if you find yourself on the heavier end, you might wanna get a thicker cushion. This is the reason why the remanufactured Amia from David Crandall or Crandall office is on this list for 3 reasons. One is because the remanufactured chairs have a 12-year warranty, which is absolutely nuts. If you go and buy this used, you're not guaranteed any warranty whatsoever. As a matter of fact, Steelcase says warranties don't transfer. So buying one from them, you get 12-year warranty. Second, they have an option where you can get a 1/2 inch thicker padding, seat pad on this. So they take this one off and put their custom padding on it. It's thicker, and that could solve the issue of bottoming out on the chair. And then the third reason is because of the price tag. A brand new Amia runs for $1,000 versus a remanufactured Amia with a thicker seat costs about $480, which is night and day difference. So yeah, really, really like this chair. It's a sleeper, but don't sleep on it. Or you can, it's so good, really comfortable. Moving on to the racing style gaming chair, Titan, the Secretlab Titan Evo 2022. Now, this chair, and I said this in the shorter people's thing as well, this chair is a bit divisive, okay? It's got maybe about 30-70 right now, where 70% of the people who've tested this chair are kind of like, hey, it's too firm and I can't do it, versus 30% of the people that are like, I love this chair, I can sit on it for 12 hours a day. Okay, I'm kind of in the middle. I can probably sit on this chair for about 4 to 6 hours a day because I prefer like firmer foam. And this seat, guys, I'm not gonna make no illusions about this. This seat is very firm, okay? One of the good things about this chair, why is this a good racing style gaming chair? Well, for a couple reasons. Like I said about the Kaiser 3, no hard bolsters anywhere, no metal. It doesn't feel like you're curling in whatsoever. You can spread your legs out, you can tuck them in, you can sit very freely on this chair. And for a racing style gaming chair, that's like revolutionary, okay? Lumbar feels pretty good. It fits nicely into the curvature of my back. And then it's just a premium chair. Like this cushion is amazing. It fits anywhere. It can fit in the nook of your neck. It can fit on the top of your head, wherever you want it. It's magnetic. It's got magnetic arms, and the chair just feels really solid overall. When it comes to sizing, if you are 5'10" and you're on the heavier end, you may want to go to the XL size. But if you're 5'10", 5'11", and you're skinnier, then you probably want to go with the regular. Now, if you're 6 foot and above, you probably want to go with the extra large size. So hopefully those things help. I have a couple sizing guide videos. If you want to check, I've got a couple guys and a couple girls in different sizes that test those chairs, so you can check those videos out. Next up is the remanufactured Steelcase Leap V2 from crandalloffice.com. Now, the reason why I'm talking about the remanufactured one again is because the Steelcase Leap V2 is arguably one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the world. The other one being the HM Aeron. So this is a tried, tested, proven, true chair. And it's really good because it's got a ton of customization. One of the fan favorites is the ability to kind of tighten in that lower back hip area. So with this giant knob right here, you can really get it to hug that lower back or loosen up just a little bit. But in general, it's really gonna hug your back. People really like the way that the back tilt works, like the kind of hips kind of come out with it as well. Some people like it, some people don't like it. But the overall flexibility, customization, and that lower back hugging of this chair makes this thing a pretty much universally loved chair. But there are some complaints about it. The 2 big ones that I see all the time are regarding the seat cushion being too thin. This is a remanufactured one. This is super thick, so ignore that. But on the normal one, it's much thinner, and sometimes the back cushion as well. Well, the Crandall Office remanufactured one, they resolved that issue by giving you an optional thicker seat pad cushion, which is super duper, super thick. So you're not gonna run into any kind of, bottoming out issues. It feels really good as well. You can tell it's a very high quality cushion in here. And you get an optional thicker back seat pad as well. So if you feel like you're gonna run into issues with the back pad kind of being uncomfortable, kind of like flopping weird, then this one can be one for you. And again, 12-year warranty, excellent customer service, really well trusted by the community, especially over on Reddit. And the other reason is because remanufactured, totally sanitized. If you go and buy this used on a used market, Craigslist, something, you can get it for cheaper. But this one, you know that it's going to be sanitized, parts are gonna be replaced, this stuff is brand new. And so, if you don't wanna deal with that, you don't wanna deal with people's booty juices, sweat, whatever, this might be the route. Also, half the price of buying a brand new one. You can also buy a factory authorized return, which is factory authorized return just means that there are chairs that were returned back to Steelcase within their 14-day window. So that's gonna be more expensive, but if you want one from Steelcase, but at a lower price, you can go with that factory authorized return. You can also do that for the Amia as well, any of their chairs that they have on their website. So that is the Leap V2. Moving on, this is one of my favorite finds, right? This is the Dual Rest Alpha. This looks absolutely crazy, and I'll tell you guys right now that all the R&D money went into the mesh and into the backrest here. The arms are kind of flimsy. The adjustments on the chair are actually pretty decent, but yeah, like when you look at the arms, you're like, oh, this is a cheap chair. But then when you look at the rest of the chair, you're like, okay, maybe I should give it a second try. This mesh is done really well. It's really taut. It's not that hard, crappy mesh that you find on budget tier chairs. It's really well done, really taut. I'm not worried that it's gonna loosen. It might loosen a tiny bit, but even then I think you'll have plenty of cushion because it's pretty tight. Now, this backrest is pretty freaking fantastic. Like, you can already see that this wiggles around. So when you sit in the chair, those things like hug that the muscle that runs along your spine. You can adjust how wide or how in it is depending how broad your back is, and it just kind of bends and flexes with you, and it feels really good. Like it really hugs that back, especially that lower back area. It hugs it and kind of grips it really nicely. The more you lean into it, the more it kind of flexes and bends and kind of hugs the places that you want. It feels really cool, and the reason why this is pretty good for tall people as well is because you can actually loosen this back here, and then you can adjust the back higher up. Now this is going to have a height limit. So I think this chair is made in Korea. They say Germany, but the guy that reached out and people that keep reaching out about this chair are actually Korean. And so generally I think it's gonna have a shorter height range. Like I'm gonna say probably 6'2" is the maximum height I'd recommend on this chair. But if you're looking for something that's just unique, if you're looking for something that's really gonna grip that back, especially that lower back area, the Dual-Rest Alpha, don't get the other ones, the Dual-Rest Alpha might be worth checking out. This one is $650. Next one is the Herman Miller Sayl. I really like this chair, okay? The seat cushion is fantastic. It is probably one of the best seat cushions on any chair. It is super duper, like it's got a soft, medium soft firmness to it, but man, like when you push into it, you know that this is a high quality foam because the isolation is crazy. Like when you push your finger into it, just that area is pushing down. So when you go into it, you know it's gonna like nicely conform to your booty. It feels really good. This is also gonna have a height limit as well, right? I'm gonna say maybe a maximum of like 6'1" because it needs to have some kind of frame definition. And they opted to put it in these corners. So these corners can be really thick. And if you're someone who's super tall, I feel like this would probably dig into your back in a way that you might not like. If you're under that, I think you could deal with it. Now, or I don't think it's gonna bother you. The holes in this make this an extremely breathable chair, and it just feels like a really solid chair. One of the things that I love about this is not only is it super wide and the seat depth comes out really far, again, accommodating lots of sizes, but I love this feature that it has, and a lot of Herman Miller chairs have this, is the ability to forward tilt. So if I lean back in the chair and I tilt this tab forward, look, the entire chair leans forward. And the reason it does this is because when you're in this position, your feet are now planted into the ground, and when you sit, you can't help but go into a straight back position. This is a fantastic posture helping thing. It relieves pressure off of that lower back, and it's great for people who like to be close up, studying, reading, or doing and finagling with something, right? It's a really great feature, and it also has, people have claimed that it's got geriatric benefits because if you're older, you have difficulty getting out of the chair, you have bad knees, like me, then because your feet are so planted in this position, it's easy to just get up and out of your chair. Oh, that actually did feel pretty good. Last chair on this list is a brand new Steelcase Amia. So I already talked about the Amia. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but if you want to get one directly from Steelcase, which again, I'm 170-ish pounds, did not feel the seat bottom out whatsoever. If you want to get one directly from Steelcase, for whatever reason, you can do that. And couple things to note is that if you're from the UK, Steelcase has reduced the warranty, right? Herman Miller, Steelcase, 12-year warranties if you buy them brand new. Steelcase UK, 5-year warranty. I'm not sure what compelled them to make that switch, but that could make buying one of these brand new in the UK a little less appealing. So you're tall and rich. Screw you. No, I'm just kidding, but no, seriously, screw you. All right, so we're starting with the Steelcase Leap V2, brand new from Steelcase. It's gonna run you about $1,200. That is a remanufactured Leap V2 with extra cushions. That's not what your Leap's gonna look like, but it's there just as a placeholder. All right, so the Leap V2 is one of the top 2 most popular chairs in the world. Steelcase is a very well-known brand. You get an excellent 12-year warranty. Unless you're in the UK, you only get a 5-year warranty now. But the reason why the Leap V2 is on this list is because when it comes to that lower back adjustment, lower back grip, there's no chair that does it better than the Leap V2, right? This knob here, this adjustment to really grip that is nice. You also get a little bit more adjustability and customization compared to the Steelcase Amia. And so for those reasons, the Steelcase Leap V2 is great. Now, not everybody loves the tilt back tension because the hip does come out. Some people much prefer the back to be a little bit more on its own as opposed to the seat sliding out as well. But that's the way the cookie crumbles on the Leap V2. All right. Next up is the Steelcase Gesture. This is if you were to buy it brand new from Steelcase, gonna run you, I believe, $1,300 to $1,500. Now, the Steelcase Leap V2, one note on the Leap V2 and on the Gesture is that if you're 6'3" and taller, you might find yourself wanting a little bit more back, but the Gesture has an answer to that, which I'll get to in just a minute. but you can tell that the Steelcase Gesture is Steelcase's most high-end chair. The fabric and the materials are much more premium. The way it feels is also much more premium. Like the seat cushion feels a lot better. And these arms are the best arms on any chair ever made. Like, they're just absolutely fantastic. Look at this. Look how easy it is to adjust, and look how much adjustability you get on these arms. Just absolutely incredible. The way the mechanisms work, also everything is just solid. There's no creaking, no noise whatsoever. The Gesture is a really, really solid chair, especially for my taller friends. I tend to like this a lot. My friend who's 6'1" really, really loved this chair. If you're on the taller end and you're like, hey, I need more support, I would like a headrest, Steelcase actually makes a Gesture with the headrest, but you need to buy it with the headrest. You can't attach it on aftermarket. I don't even think you can find the headrest so you can attempt it on your own. So you need to buy one with the headrest on it. That's gonna run you that upper end of $1,500, $1,600. Now, Crandall office does sell this as factory authorized returns. That means that, hey, I bought the chair, I didn't like it, returned it within 14 days. So you can get it at a slight discount if that's what you're looking for from crandalloffice.com. So if you're looking for a little discount, you can do that as well. And overall, just a solid chair. Again, 12-year warranty, both with Steelcase and with Crandall Office. However, if you're in the UK or Europe, again, only 5 years if you buy from Steelcase. Next up is my number 2 overall favorite chair pick, the Hayworth Fern. I really like this chair because look how tall this backrest is compared to all the chairs here. So you get extra length on that backrest. The fabric on this is incredibly breathable. The back bends and flexes a little bit, not as much as on the Embody, but it does kind of bend and flex with you. You get this optional bubble lumbar support, so if you want extra lumbar support like I do, then it does feel really good. I love that it flexes. It's not like a plastic bar that some chairs use. You get a lot of seat depth and width out of this chair as well. The arms are pretty good, and overall, I think the value for this chair and what you're getting is just really, really solid. It's designed well. It looks absolutely gorgeous as well. And if you want, I don't recommend you get this feature, but there is a forward tilt option on these chairs. It's not as good as it is on the Herman Miller chairs like the Aeron, but if you go ahead and pull this tab here, watch what happens to my legs. Let me push you back a little bit. Watch what happens. I tilt forward. Now, you notice that the entire chair didn't tilt forward like on the Aerons and on the Sayls. Only the seat pad went forward. And by the seat pad going forward, you still get a little bit of that forward tilt, a little bit of relief pressure off that lower back. It just doesn't feel as good as the Herman Miller Aeron and the Herman Miller Sayl. So I don't really recommend that option. If you want to get a Fern, I think the best options are going to be to get the digital knit version. So the digital knit is going to use like these pocket, like I'm just going to call them little puffs, and it feels really good. It's like nice and massagey for your back, but at the same time, it doesn't sacrifice breathability. Like you can, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see kind of light shining through. That's how thin this fabric is, but you don't feel like hard edges at all. But even when you get the puff version, you still see light through the chair. It's still really breathable. And also, Hayworth Fern, just like Steelcase and Herman Miller, comes with their excellent 12-year warranty. Next up is the remastered Herman Miller Aeron. Compared to the classic used Aeron, the seat in the front folds or comes down faster than on the classic Aerons, relieving a lot of pressure off of those thighs. That's probably one of the biggest complaints about the Aerons, is that sometimes it can exert pressure on those thighs, but by having it waterfall or come down faster, it relieves pressure there. The mesh, of course, is the highest quality mesh of any mesh chair. I'm not worried about sagging whatsoever, but if you get a remastered one brand new, well, of course, you're gonna have their 12-year warranty. So if you feel any issues on the mesh, you can immediately call them up and be like, hey, I've experienced some issues. Other things that are better about the remastered Aeron is that the lumbar support, the highest end, the Posture Fit SL, is going to feel better than the Posture Fit on the classic Aeron. I think it covers more ground, it feels a little bit better. I think I like the lumbar support on this a little bit better. One downgrade of the remastered Aeron, in my humble opinion, compared to the classic though, is going to be in the underchair mechanisms. So in the classic Aeron, everything is like metal, except for the housing, right? Everything is metal. This is using a combination of plastic and metal. And I talked to some servicing guys from Herman Miller, and they said, look, the classic Aerons, those are tanks. Those are never gonna break. Or if they do, they just need to be serviced a little. Versus these, the plastic bits can break. As a matter of fact, I had to get this serviced 2 times for the forward tilt because it kept breaking on me. Now it's all in good condition, so all is well again. Herman Miller comes with their excellent 12-year warranty, and if you're in this list of the taller folks, Fellow freaks of nature, size B or size C if you're really tall. You can use Herman Miller sizing guide for which one you should get. And they also have a headrest version, which makes it really great for the extra tall guys or people who just want a headrest. The second best headrest ever made of all time ever is from Atlas Headrest. You get individual X and Y axis adjustments on this headrest, which just makes it absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, you can use my code for $5 off. You can get the cushion one that I have here, or you can get a one-to-one matching of the mesh and the plastic material. Any color that the Remastered comes in, you can get it matching. Again, the best headrest made for the Aeron. Get $5 off using my code. Moving on to my favorite chair of all time, the Herman Miller Embody. And on top of there is a prototype headrest from Atlas Headrest, the same guys that make this headrest. That is the best headrest. Even the prototype made of cheap 3D printed plastic is still better than this headrest, in my humble opinion. I did a full breakdown on the headrest, you can watch that video. But the reason why this chair is my favorite is because this is the most unique chair I've ever sat in. Because every chair uses mesh or some kind of foam. This chair, instead, Herman Miller opted to use this plastic, what they called it, the pixelated plastic, I don't know what they call it, pixelated something rubber structure. But basically, anywhere you touch, it's going to bend and move. And it's using it on the back and on the seat as well. And what's incredible is that when I sit in the chair, whether I'm at the very tip of it, in the middle of it, in the back of it, the pressure doesn't change. It feels like I'm being supported in all positions. And look at this, I can, oh, sorry, it's getting a little cramped. I can flex and bend and move in this chair. So if I'm just stretching, I just wanna move around that chair, I can flex it, I can move, and it feels like it moves and adjusts to me, not like I have to adjust for the chair. I don't know, it feels really wonderful. I love the other things that they've thought through, like this seat depth, because if you're taller, you're gonna need to adjust it. Instead of all these other chairs, like this one, the Aeron can't do anything, but on the Fern, the Gesture, the Leap, all the seat pads come out and it creates a gap on that lower back. And if you scooch all the way back, you can feel the gap. The Embody, on the other hand, decided to use a reverse tongue function where you pull this and you pull out so that so the front is extending or releasing, not the entire seat. And so there is no gap on that lower back area. It's ingenious, in my humble opinion, it's ingenious. But the couple big flaws you should know about this chair, or the things that get complained about the most, is the lumbar support. It kind of feels like, you know, when you buy a brand new pair of shoes, in the front there's like that cup thing that looks like this that you pull out. Imagine like you cut it really thin and then you made the front of it flat. That's kind of what the lumbar feels like. It's not adjustable. Some people don't love the way that that feels. And then the other thing that people don't love about this chair is the noise that it makes. Because it's using that plastic pixelated rubbery structure, when you move, it does kind of, creaking is not the right word, it's more like squishy, right? It's got like a squishy noise and people don't really like that. The gaming chair has it a little bit more than the non-gaming chairs, but you know, if you're someone who's sensitive to noise, that could be a deal breaker. Now, if you're somebody who is 5'3", all the way up to a freakishly super tall freak of nature, you can benefit from this headrest, right? The taller people who are 6'4" and above are like, guys, there's no chair made for me. No chair can support my upper neck and back area. Well, this headrest can potentially do that. Again, this is a prototype, so I don't wanna make any guarantees. I will have the final production unit when it gets here, so make sure you guys get subscribed for that. So yeah, it's potentially, you know, great for the super tall freaks of nature out there. Without it, I've heard people 6'2", 6'3" say they're good in the chair, but they're just waiting for the headrest. And finally, these are my favorite active seating chairs. Active seating chairs are chairs that encourage you to use more muscles, to move around so that you stay awake and have more energy. And I can say after using these, I do have much more energy throughout the day. And most critically, I don't experience that midday slump that happens after lunchtime. And they are also really good pairs with standing desks as well, especially this one, because you can immediately just go from a sitting position to doing your work to just kind of getting up and moving it out of the way. This is also really good as well. They actually create a stool version of this, so it's higher up, so you can actually use it with a standing desk, sitting down. But let's talk about this one first. This is the Capisco chair by Hogue. HAG with a circle on top of the A, right? This is a really unique chair. This is actually used by Joe Rogan on his podcast, Joe Rogan Experience. It's actually littered in pop culture as well. I think you could see it on Star Trek. And the reason why it's shaped so funny is because this chair is meant for you to be able to sit however you want. Again, I have a full breakdown on this chair. You can watch that video on how to use it, but all of these lumps are meant so that you can sit like a normal chair, like this. You could sit on it sideways, like this, like tucked in. You could sit on it facing backwards, and I wanna be very careful because I got a busted knee, but you can sit like this, backwards inside the chair. You can literally sit in this thing however you want, and the legs are designed and they're nice and wide so that you can spin and move around in your chair. So if you're someone who likes to think while fidgeting and moving, this is seriously an ideal pair. Just keep in mind that the cushion here is on the firmer side, so it's not gonna be an all-day chair, and because it's got a lot of unusual bumps, it's not gonna give you that kind of natural opening like on your butt like a lot of other chairs will. It's just designed with a lot of grooves so that you can just constantly move around. This chair over here is called the Area 1.0 from a brand called Core 360. I really, really like this thing. All right, you guys see this in all my videos. A lot of people ask me about this thing. Why do I like it so much? It's a stool, right? It's a chair stool. You sit in it, and what's cool is that it literally rocks in every single direction. And I love it so much because, look at this. All day, this is what I'll do. I'll just be working like this, like literally. And because of that, I feel like I'm using more muscle, and it's so simple, and you can't not rock in it, right? Again, not meant to be an all-day thing, right? Can create a lot of pressure on your butt if you're sitting on all day, but really just kind of encourages you to move throughout the day, encourages you to get up and to move around. And it's just so simple that I love it so much. And because of the way that, again, it's kind of got that forward tilt that's found in the Herman Miller Aeron and the Herman Miller Sayl, is because the whole chair can tilt forward. Well, when you're forward like this, it's relieving pressure off of that lower back, and it forces that back straight. So you actually can sit in a very proper way all day with a great posture, and it can really help with that as well. So yeah, for me, these two chairs, great for more energy, great for standing desks, great for people who like to move around, great for people who like to fidget. Thanks for watching. Get subscribed. Please use my links. I really appreciate it. Until next time, stay honest.